Welcome to episode 2 of our 9 Minutes video series. This one is all about unpacking the business case. We'll be discussing things like how to create a compelling narrative, how do you define measurable benefits, and ultimately how do you get sign-off. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, relax and enjoy. What makes a compelling business case?
For me, a compelling business case is needing to identify the client need. There is no reason to do it just because I want to do it. There's no reason to do it just because I think it's going to be something that will benefit the firm. There has to be a need there. And that's what drives the ROI. I see a lot of business cases where they don't think about the ROI. That's partly because it's a difficult thing to quantify in a sort of, particularly in a legal tech, legal ops point of view.
Try and do it as scientifically as possible. There's an awful lot of projects that I see that are just the right thing to do or has to be done, etc., rather than, yes, the perfect project that has a really well scoped benefits analysis, etc. But it can be really difficult. I've seen so many, particularly in legal. If you start to add up how many units of time that we think will save, you'll be rolling in money, and it's never quite the case.
So I think being really clear in the business case, what is the capability that you're putting in place? What are the really tangible benefits that you can point to? Because you've got to be able to prove it. What are the cost benefits? Being really clear about how you see the cost profile over time, where you see the big risks. Why aren't you going to fall over the pitfalls that other people fall over? Building that into the business case. So I think it is really what's the strategic objective? What are the business capabilities we're putting in place? What's the cost of putting those capabilities in place? Where's the risk? And what's the cost benefit if there is one?
But it's okay to have a sort of circumstantial ROI as well, because that then starts to show, well, it will offer these slightly less tangible values and deliverables. It doesn't have to be pounds and pence. And I think that's where everyone gets caught up in. So my big things about business cases and what makes a good business case in my mind, ROI that doesn't have to be tangible pounds and pence, and that client need, finding the focus of your business case.
What are the benefits that you feel should be included in a business case?
Most projects and investments in change need some mix of hard and soft benefits. So the things that typically the soft benefits won't make the case on their own. It's often cumulative ones, so they could be about the environmental, it could be about people retention, it could be things that are sometimes difficult to put a hard number on, but they're those softer ones. And sometimes there are what you'd call enabling benefits, things that we don't do this, we won't be able to do that. So it's those dependencies. And from a tech background, there's often prerequisites, technologies or investments that have to be done to kind of lay the foundations.
You might not see necessarily a benefit, but if you want to be in this business, then these are the things that need to change in order for the business to be successful for the future. So it might not feel like a great change for you personally, but actually, it will set you up so that, there is a company in the next 5-10 years time that is still successful.
Boards don't like guns being held to their heads. They're accepting of the fact that sometimes there's things that just have to be done to kind of get to the next stage. But as an IT leader, it's important to kind of have that roadmap that sets these out. So there are fewer and fewer surprises when it comes to those. But I think any investment case is going to need some mix of those hard, soft and enabling benefits, depending on the context.
Our strategy at the moment is make things good for our colleagues, make things good for our clients, and make things good for the business. It's really simple, stupid. But I think there is something about, for all firms, not just law firms, if you make people's life easier, their work-life balance is going to be better, they're going to be happy on their job, they're probably going to be more efficient as well. So for me, there is something about giving time back, or it's 3 clicks rather than 16, that type of thing. So even if it's, you're not really going to target an ROI over that benefit, but it is just actually a good thing to do to make people's lives better.
How can you then baseline those metrics or those KPIs and then over time actually demonstrate that you've delivered the benefits?
I think giving a sense of scale is important. For example, if you're on a spectrum of A to Z in terms of process capability or technical kind of competence, it's useful to frame where we're at the moment. We might be on G at the moment. On this initiative, we're trying to get to P. We're not trying to jump from A to Z. I think that context tends to be kind of helpful.
The most impactful is when you use KPIs and objectives in order to kind of build that maturity, because if it's written in your KPIs and objectives, then people are much more likely to adopt it, and therefore it's an easier way to track it because everyone's looking at that same measure.
We do sometimes revisit the business case. All the companies I've worked, not as often as we should. That's something that you guys 9 Feet Tall brought to us historically, and I think that's one of your strengths, is revisiting that. I don't think we do that enough. I think people are so busy trying to get over the next hump and the next project, but I think it does provide, we do lessons learned, really well. But one of the things that I don't think we are as sharp on is that revisiting a year later, did we generally get the benefit? What difference can we make the next time to our measures and that sort of thing? So I think it's important. I think you should try and do it, but certainly most of the places I've worked, it's probably been one of the things that could be improved.
Could you share any tips on how you get engagement and buy-in to business cases?
So from a senior stakeholder perspective, getting buy-in is definitely understanding what the benefits are and aligning to the corporate strategy, and therefore the senior leadership team being really clear what does it mean for their teams.
Treating people in groups individually, having a think about, it doesn't need to be as efficient as writing down a stakeholder analysis, but just in your head thinking about who's going to be supportive, who's not going to be supportive, what are the reasons, thinking about who are the real influencers in that group that you want to, push forward in this project, getting a really good sponsor in place, that type of thing. People having the conversations beforehand. People don't like surprises, so having those sort of 2 weeks before the exec meeting or the project approval meeting, making sure people are up to date, they've asked you all the challenging questions, maybe then at least you're pre-warned if they ask them again, hopefully there's no surprises. So you've got, you're armed with all the facts and things that you need.
I think transparency is so key. I think having some real open and honest discussions around where the business is going, I think really helps to kind of drive that buy-in. But I think one of the key struggles I've found is, again, I've been involved in a number of technical implementations over a number of years with different organisations. And I think it's that feeling of it's just a tech program. It's just tech. People use their iPhone every day. So, these new systems, it's easy. And I think that's the big thing that you can really struggle, because I think sometimes when it seems easy, there's less investment on why do you need to take my team out for a whole day to do engagement? Why do you need to take my team out for a week to do training? And that's where there can be a real struggle. So I think it's really making sure, one, the senior stakeholders understand the clear direction of where we're going. I think it's really important that those messages are driven from the top. And then I think it's then, right, what are the benefits? Because we can put this in and we can do really light touch, but then it's not going to land, it's not going to stick. People will revert to their old ways of working.